I finally finished God of War 2018, right there as you see. And now I'm going to give you the review of whether or not it's worth your time, what you need to know beforehand, what will get you prepared for Ragnarok if you have got that sitting on your system like I do here. All the things, what I liked, what I didn't like, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then we'll give it a score at the end. So first up, this is 2018's God of War, of course, both the PS4, 5, and the PC most recently. It's a third-person cinematic action adventure. It's the fourth mainline game. So mainline game. So you could say that this is basically God of War 4. 2 side games, I think there are 2 kind of like extras in between there. It was like side one, so it's like 6 or 7 games total, 7 or 8 if you include Ragnarok, I think, roughly that. I was playing on the PS5 at 4K 60, so using the kind of patch update thing that makes it just kind of really work visceral and beautiful on the PS5. So at this point, many years have passed since the previous God of Wars, because you now have a son as Kratos, and you're not trying to live a life that's more appropriate as a father. You're trying to learn to be a father, essentially, while going on this journey. It's an emotional journey. That's the premise of the game. You need to know, before watching this review and playing previous games will help with this. You don't need to play the previous games to enjoy God of War 2018, but it does help in terms of really appreciating the character transformation, in terms of what the years have done, or how the years have changed Kratos, and why his attitude is towards certain people and certain things that happen in the world. Even how his relationship is with his son, so to speak, as well, in some ways. It will give you a lot more texture. It's not necessary, but it does help. If you don't have the hardware to play, I'm not sure if you can play on the PS4, PS5, the previous ones, but I think you can through PlayStation Plus. If you don't want to go through 6 games to get all the backstory, you can check out the videos that we have, the entire series up to this one, available on the YouTubes. I'm uploading episodes right now unless there's some problem. So you can do that, or you can watch one of those YouTube videos where they just do like the movie cinematics, which might be a lot more quicker and a lot more sane, but I'd really appreciate the watch time if you do choose to watch. That's definitely a thing. And as far as Ragnarok's concerned, yes, Ragnarok is a direct sequel to this game. So you will want to have at least played this game to appreciate that one even more so than even the previous games to appreciate this one. But it helps, like I said. So let's talk about some of the things I love in God of War. Some of the things I loved, I suppose, past tense now. The story in this is amazing. It's a very mature, very emotional story. It sounds kind of cliche, but really it is. It's really a joy to see the development of this character and how he interacts with his son in this game. It's worthy of the Greek Norse mythology that it's based on. It's worthy of a Greek Norse mythology movie. Man, if 4 was like this or something like that, it'd be an amazing movie rather than just like very good movies, you know what I mean? The performances and voice acting are awesome, you know what I mean? It's memed, right? I mean, boy. Just great performances by the performers in this. The combat, as ever in God of War, is always amazing. And it's no exception. The combat in this is awesome. There's tactics in there, you know, there's dodging, there's different weapon actions types, there's environmental things you can interact with, all sorts of different cool stuff. So the combat is, especially when you get to the second half and meet some old friends again. No spoilers. As I said previously, seeing Kratos' evolution from this kind of badass that's just unrelenting and just kind of hardcore and just kind of very anti-hero, really, to basically now trying to be a fatherhood. It's just such an interesting concept. It was a really good idea. Again, with all that combat and all that emotion, there is an epic soundtrack to go with it. Why am I saying that's embarrassing to do that? But basically, it will remind you, especially if you play previous games, how they've kind of taken some of that sound and brought it into this game as well. So again, don't have to play the previous games, but you'll appreciate this one even more if you do. As I said previously, and you can watch a lot of videos of all the gameplay if you want to watch the entire series of God of War before God of War 2018, which is the 4th game here. Check that out. You have a beefy skill tree in this game, and there's lots of optional items and upgrades. There's loads of sorry, well, I don't want to surprise for you. There's loads of skill tree. There's more than one, and it's going to keep you busy throughout. If you want to kind of fill all them, you're gonna have to do a lot of the optional stuff to fill all of them. You won't be able to fill all of those options, max those options with just the mainline story. So it gives you a reason to do all the optional things that are in there, the cool things. It goes without saying, the visuals are top notch, beautiful. And this is just on the PS5. Imagine on the PC, it looks even more amazing. But on the PS5, I'm very happy with the visuals, no problem whatsoever. I feel like, and this is the PS4 version, it's with a patch that lets you do 4K 60. But one thing with studios that Sony owns is they really, really know how to make their games look amazing, even when it's just a patch, and perform amazing on the machine. It might as well be PC. It's 64K. I'm gone, bro. I'm on a 4K TV, on a Sony TV, with a Sony machine. Shall I leave now? Yeah, amazing. World-class visuals. Now, there's also the ability to complete unfinished stuff when you've done everything. So that's a good thing, because it kind of takes the pressure if you want to kind of be a completionist or semi-completionist. There isn't anything that you can miss in this game, in the story, that's going to stop you from completing the side things if you want to and platinum in it. And we did do that, as you may have seen on my desktop if I'm using that screen. And if I'm using those visuals, you can see here that we have platinum the game. So maybe I know I lost the wrong one. I'm looking at RAGNAROK. So yeah, 100%. And I only got 3 platinum games on the PlayStation. So that means that this is not the hardest to platinum. So it's very kind. There is some work and some tedium, but we'll get to that in a bit. That's nice that you can come back and finish stuff if you want to. You won't have to worry about missing anything. You can go back and do it, and do the fast travel thing. So the open world link into that is fun. It's a fun open world to explore. The only thing that I've kind of thought about the open world after the fact was the fact that it was kind of weird that there's not really any kind of like really any normal living inhabitants in the actual islands. It's kind of like literally a few characters that are like normal, and then everyone else is kind of like either like brown bread or just kind of abandoned the place or something. I don't know. It's not spoiling anything. It's something you'll notice aesthetically. It's kind of weird, but otherwise the open world is amazing. They class it as open world. I class it as open world. It's kind of semi-open world, open area, and things open up more and more as you go further and further in. So it's good stuff. It's got some nice various challenges and environments. There are puzzles that aren't too hard, timed puzzles that aren't too unkind, apart from a certain area, but we'll get into that again. Very visceral with their patch, with the 4K and the 60 combat games. It's nice, close combat, third perspective games. You want a good performance there, and it works. It definitely helps for it, especially with timings and things that you need to do with, like, reflecting attacks and things like that, repose and all that kind of thing. So that's really important, and it does it really well on the PlayStation 5. So you're golden. Now, it's not an extensive list, but let's talk about the bad and the ugly stuff. Bad thing I don't like in this game is some of the side collectibles and side activities do kind of go into the borderline annoying to tedious territory. It's not a lot of it, and overall it's one of the better designed open worlds, but there are some of it where it's like there's a lot of this, it's a bit too much of this. It's kind of open worldy feely, where some of the things that are annoying in open worlds is slightly rears its head in this game. Not too much, but where it does happen, it's like whoa. And that brings me on to essentially the ugly, which is 2 locations in the game that are essentially grind areas or repetition. They're optional, you don't need to do them. That's very important to mention. You do not need to do the stuff I'm talking about here. But on the other hand, it does have its benefits in some ways. I don't think it's necessarily beneficial in terms, I don't think a lot of the story aspects deliver for you doing it. Some of the side stuff, especially some of the more harder ones. But there's 2 locations that I'm talking about requires you essentially to do the same thing over and over with some variation, but you'll be dealing with either the same enemies over and over again to grind some money or different materials so that you can upgrade certain items or buy certain items that are unique. And it's just kind of annoying. It's just too long. There's another area where it's kind of got this timed thing where you basically will expire if you don't get out of a certain situation throughout this area, combined with maze, and you can already imagine the tedium and annoyance there. Now you can obviously get things that help you to be able to live longer in the environment itself, but it's extremely tedious. Now, unless I missed some method or something that shortens it, which I don't believe I had, it is extremely, extremely, extremely tedious and frustrating. There are optional areas, like I said, but with that combined with the ugly, you can probably guess how it might or might not impact the final score. So that plus, some of the optional challenges, some of them are like, man. And to be honest with you, there's a certain final fight that I had to change the difficulty, so now I have to spend 10 years trying to be a certain thing. So yeah, that kind of kills a lot of the enjoyment of just the normal flow of going, exploring, doing basic stuff that's reasonable, interesting, get the reward, do some story, do some side. When you get those kind of side stuff that interrupts the flow and it's kind of just tedious instead of frustrating, that's when the game goes down a little bit, and that's kind of the open world optional stuff that does that. Okay, so I've told you what I like, what I don't like, and what I really don't like. I also told you what the game is, things to watch out for. I guess it's time to give you a score, because everyone loves a review score, don't they? For me, with God of War 2018, the only thing that stops it from being what it could be is the things I mentioned, which is the amount of frustration and tedium in some of the optional things that I should have never done. I think they could have organized it way better. The way they organized some of those optional areas for like upgrading gear or getting cash, getting certain key items, really, really, really badly designed in my opinion, just in terms of the strain in your time, and that has to impact the score, even if it's optional. Of course, if you just did the story and that was it, provided you were happy with the length, you'd be like 10 out of 10 easily. But because of that, and because of some of the busy work nature of some of the excess in the open world, just a little bit here and there, almost perfect, but this, I'm gonna give God of War 2018 a 9.5 out of 10. You knew it was coming, didn't you? It's close to being a 9, but once I finished the game after doing some of the tedious stuff, I was like, you know what? This is an excellent game. It'd be a bit harsh on this optional stuff to give it a 9. So 9.5 out of 10 for me, the 2018 God of War. Just like all the other God of Wars, I don't think I've given any God of War game less than a 7.5. They are a blast to play. They're a system seller. The only difference is this one is the greatest of the bunch in storytelling, visuals, tactical combat, and somewhat almost in open world balance, because the rest of the other ones were in open world anyway. So let me know what you think in the comments of the review of the game itself, and let me know how you're finding Ragnarok if you haven't started already, or if you've started already, I should say. I'm going to probably start Ragnarok today later, because it's now 3 AM. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with that. There's a vehicle, I don't know if you heard that. That vehicle's excited. Someone's driving home to go and play I keep saying Call of Duty. They're going home to play some Ragnarok, of course, because apparently it's amazing. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I've already lost you saying it now, anyway. Just click on the videos on the screen instead. Boy!